There we go. Hello. Hello. Excuse me. Hey, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube if you're not, all 12 of you who are in here, Midwestern Marx. We know TikTok's alright for the moment, but we don't know how long that'll last. And I wonder how many followers I lost by the fact that a couple people have showed me this just in my personal life. If you deleted TikTok when it got banned, because, it got banned and you weren't going to be able to use it, you can't download it anymore. Even if it, offloaded off your phone and saved onto the cloud, you still can't download it. Thank you for liking and sharing the live, by the way. Appreciate that a ton. So I wonder how many followers I lost from that, because people thought TikTok was going to be gone forever and offloaded it and now can't download it. Who you got, Drickus or Comms on? I got Drickus by Accidental Rolling Thunder. Yeah, I got Drickus by double punch while falling to the ground. Like a double leaping punch. He's going to jump at Comms out like that. Comms out will go for a takedown, and Drickus will double punch him flying through the air and knock him out instantly. Either that or Comms out will wrestle him. I don't know. Drickus' wrestling is good. I feel like his cardio is good enough to really wear Hamzat out in a 5-round fight. But there's always that chance that Hamzat just comes out and double legs him and chokes him out right away. So I think that's probably more likely, like 70% chance that happens. But I feel like, and this could be wrong too, but I think the longer that fight goes on, the better it is for Drickus. South African here. Can we chat about hashtag expropriation in South Africa? You can ask me questions about it, and I'll definitely answer. This is going to be a short live because I have to go to practice in like 40 minutes. So another time I'll bring you up and we can actually have a conversation about it, face to face or whatever. But today I'm just going to answer comment questions because I have to go real soon, but thank you all for liking and sharing. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Midwestern Marx, for when TikTok gets banned. Is there a Marxist group in Connecticut you know about? We have a Connecticut chapter. The ACP does, the American Communist Party. If you go to acp.us and sign up, we'll get you in the Connecticut chapter right away. You have to have, I believe it's 5 people to start a chapter. Excuse me. And even though Connecticut's small, there's a full-fledged chapter there. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you. Why am I not seeing the gifts? We do a video on how the U.S. betrayed Portugal in the colonial war while Portugal was in NATO. Okay. I don't know anything about that. If you had no experience, where would you start with martial arts? Depends. If you're in high school or middle school, join your school's wrestling team. Otherwise, I would just find a jiu-jitsu gym, honestly. I live in Connecticut. Based. acp.us. Thank you, Jacob. Appreciate that, man. Got a real famous TikToker in here. Famous actor. What's up, Jacob? How's it going? Thank you. Free Palestine. When will the revolution come, or we cooked? Good question. Something's got to give eventually. Liberalism is dying. If you go on X right now, which is, obviously allowing a lot more free speech than other platforms, there is an extreme rise in the far right, right? Because as liberalism and capitalism are falling apart, which is what our current system is, a liberal capitalist system. Liberal more so in the traditional sense, but also, basically what you think of as American liberalism. As that's in decline, people are going one of two ways. They're being radicalized. They're being radicalized to the right, and they're being radicalized to the left. There was a similar thing in Germany after World War I. Their economy was destroyed. They had suffered this humiliating defeat, and things were on a downward trend. And a lot of people became communists, and a lot of people went to the far right. So it's our job to make sure that that revolution, which, you know, a revolution, an uprising is inevitable. We already had people freaking storm the Capitol, and we've had a lot of crazy uprisings. We had people occupy Wall Street just a few years ago, and the Democrats have been able to co-opt all of these uprisings and make them non-revolutionary. But there is an inevitable revolutionary moment coming because, you know, like I said, liberalism is in decline. Almost everybody recognizes now, including a lot of conservatives. We are in a crumbling, decaying empire. So eventually something's got to give, and that'll be the result of class struggle, people rising up. But what direction do we go? Impossible to predict. As Luxemburg said, we can have socialism or barbarism. Need more Luigis. There you go. Exactly. We need people who recognize that it is the Wall Street shareholders and giant corporations making profit off of things like healthcare that is really screwing regular Americans. More so than poor immigrants who fled their country because the U.S. bombed it or put it under sanctions. Thank you for the hearts. Appreciate it. Who'd you vote for? I didn't vote. I grew up wrestling, lots of working class right-wingers. How do we change the culture from within? You just gotta talk to them, man. They're all freaking on board. They just don't know it. Obviously, Trump is big in the wrestling community right now, but I got all of my buddies, almost, or like, you know, 90% of my friends on my college wrestling team to caucus for Bernie Sanders. And that includes a lot of Trump supporters. Thank you. Appreciate that. Because Bernie was railing against the for-profit healthcare system and railing against the endless wars. Thank you for the finger heart, which is the reason that a lot of these people actually like Trump, believe it or not. So I just said, look, this guy's actually got a policy program to change these things. He's actually got things he wants to implement. Thank you. And look at what he's trying to implement versus the other candidates, and they all caucus for Bernie. Right? And you could do the same thing for communism, socialism. Just explain that, you know, Trump is a product of the system. He's the kind of politician you would expect to see when the empire is in decay. Thank you for the gifts. Appreciate it. Look at all these finger hearts. We're going to hit our goal right away today. Let's go. Boom. We hit our goal. Let's go. We're freaking rich, baby. Thank you. Thank you. How am I supposed to talk to them? Well, if they're on your wrestling team, you know them already. Woo! So it's easy to talk to them. They are legit against me having equal rights. None of my wrestling teammates who supported Trump would have been against anybody having equal rights. We had all sorts of different people on our team. And, you know, that's the case for a lot of Trump supporters, at least near me. If they are against you having equal rights, they're probably critical of Trump because he's, you know, too far left, which there are a lot of people like that. There are thousands of people, and this is what I was talking about. They're like congregating on Elon Musk's X now. There are a lot of people who are like, you know, Trump's not a real extreme right-winger, but he needs to be. He needs to be against, you know, minorities explicitly. And it's like, wow, I guess we're doing that again. But again, that's what happens anytime a liberal system is in decay. Bro, I know you for your political views. I didn't know you a fighter, wrestler. Yeah, you bet. Leftist theory for beginners, wage, labor, and capital value, price, and profit. Read that. Spencer Lee versus Ono in February. I think Spencer's got it. Yeah, I hope so. Ono is very good. That's going to be fun. Do you have anything to say about China offering to fund the projects that USAID will cut? I didn't hear about that, but I'm not surprised. Like, USAID, all they do is, like, fund regime change. You know, all they do is fund the overthrow of other governments. And China, with their policy of complete non-interventionism, they only fund infrastructure development or the development of different businesses and firms and things like that. They stay out of politics, whereas USAID funnels money directly into the hands of the U.S.'s preferred political groups and then calls it development, economic development. So I'm not surprised that, and one of the reasons China does that is to compete with the U.S. and say, look, there's a saying in Africa, when China comes, we get a hospital or a school. When the U.S. comes, we get a lecture. Or when the Europeans come, we get a lecture. So China is trying to say, partner with us instead of the U.S. They're debt trapping you and trying to control your political system. We're just going to build roads and schools and factories and power plants and stuff like that. So it's not surprising that as USAID is being cut, China is like, yep, come to us, baby. You want that mutual development and cooperation. We know it. Yeah, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Midwestern Marx, and check out my videos about China if you want to learn more about that. We've gone in depth on it. Views on Huey Long is pretty based, very interesting figure for the time because, there were socialists and communists who were actually threatening power in the U.S., which is what forced FDR to implement a lot of the pro-worker policies that he did. You know anything about Somalia socialist era? Not much. Hey, Eddie, what do you know about Sandinismo? A good amount. I follow it pretty closely. Thank you, Muse, as closely as you can from the U.S. through independent journalists and stuff. Obviously, there's tons of propaganda about it, but it was big even in American music culture. Thank you for the gifts. With the Clash's album, and Chris Christopherson, the famous country artist and writer, has a song called Sandinista, which is super based. What happened to all the country artists like that? Holy cow. I like Tyler Childers and Zach Bryan though. Yeah, but it's interesting, when they lost power, the way that they came back. I think it's interesting that the sort of more socially conservative, more religious wing of the Sandinistas was the one that won out when they had their, inter-party split and were debating on strategy. So, yeah, very interesting. Eddie, I'm so drunk, Eddie. Why? It is 2:48. You may have a problem, my friend. Thank you for the hand heart. It's 2:48 on a Tuesday. A Tuesday. You are going hard. Hopefully you're in a different part of the world where it's at least late at night. Or maybe you're on vacation or something. Oh my gosh. Some of these comments, bro. Have you read much about Zapatista? A little bit. I know it's very interesting. Stop spamming about Calvin Coolidge. What the hell? Who cares about Calvin Coolidge? Zapatista, yeah, it's interesting because they were called anarchists, but they were super inspired by the Bolsheviks, which is cool. Thoughts on TikTok socialists? A lot. There used to be a huge socialist community on TikTok here, and a lot of them got banned, but a lot of them either just disappeared or just became liberals, which is not surprising because a lot of these people were never socialists in the first place. It was just more trendy on TikTok, but a lot of the ones who actually were dedicated are still around. There's a lot of good ones like Red, my friend Red. James Ray is pretty good. He's amazing on Palestine. Who else? Rathbone's good. Who am I forgetting? Dante Munoz is good. Rob Dontagrob is great. He's a concrete worker. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Communism killed 100 million, but National Socialism didn't. Yeah, okay, buddy. We're going to give you the mute. I hate Marx and I love Stalin. You've got to be Russian. Only a Russian would say that. It's interesting. Stalin is much more popular than Lenin in Russia. The ideology hasn't regained popular. I mean, it's still much more popular than it is here in the U.S., but the ideology hasn't regained tons of support. But everybody recognizes that like Stalin was the best leader the country had. Thank you for the cap. They say because he defeated the Yazis and he industrialized the country and brought literacy rates up and all this and made Russia great. And they recognize that. And of course, Stalin couldn't have done that without Marxism, Leninism. He couldn't have done that without Marxist theory. Everything that he did was based in Marxist theory. But for some reason, a lot of Russians can't draw that connection. They can't put two and two together. Like, Stalin was amazing, but the philosophy that guided all of his actions, I hate. It's like, bro, what? That makes no sense, but okay. What do you realistically expect to happen in 2028? I will be running for president for the American Communist Party. Join us at acp.us. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Midwestern Marx, to hear more about my presidential run. And I will be winning. And then America will have socialism. Just kidding. Of course. I hope you guys know I'm kidding. 2028, hopefully we get there. Hopefully 2028 doesn't spark a civil war. That's a potential. Especially if Trump tries to not leave office. Or if they try to like impeach him and kick him out or something before then. I don't know, man. Things could get crazy. But I have no idea. The Democrats appear to be cooked. Like, who are the Democrats going to run? Michelle Obama? Who are they going to run? They've lost so much popularity. They're just so out of touch. I don't know. Will the ACP dress in all red like the EFF? Probably not. Going to steal that from them. We'll probably just stick to the suits. However, the EFF uniforms are super based. Do they do what Thomas Sankara did in Burkina Faso? Where they ensure that everybody wears uniforms that are made in Africa, that are made in the home country. Because that was super based too. I could see them doing that. Is socialism far right? No. No. I don't get it. Do you like Madeline Pendleton? I haven't seen much of her. I've seen a lot of stuff that I really like. I don't know much about the lady, though. She has a lot of followers, I know. What's your take on third positionism? It's just a cope. Third positionism is just like being afraid to say I'm a communist and communism is right and communist leaders made mistakes, but they can be corrected. And, implementing something in practice is hard and there's always going to be mistakes. That's what communists think. And there's all this, effort like, let's create like a third way forward. It's like, nah, regular communism's good enough. And it's always evolving. It's always improving and adapting to new conditions. So it's like, you can't say, communism has failed, especially when it's lifted so many people out of poverty, raised literacy rates all across the world. People in communist countries or formerly socialist countries run by communist governments overwhelmingly have nostalgia for it and think that the collapse was a bad thing. As Michael Parenti said, to say that socialism has failed is to ignore that it's worked for millions of people. And then, like I said, there were mistakes made, but that's why we adapt moving forward. Anytime you do something in practice, anytime you do something in the real world, you take it out of the realm of just ideas in our heads where things can be perfect and utopian, and you apply it in the real world, there's going to be mistakes and unforeseen consequences and issues that have to be overcome through experience. This is how science advances. This is how technology advances. Like the field of engineering is just try something out, see if it works. If it works, adopt it and try to improve it. If it doesn't work, make changes and then try it again, see if it does work. And through that, technology is advanced to an incredible degree. It should be the same thing with government and economics. Learn what works and learn what doesn't and apply what works. And that's what communism is. Capitalism has no ability to do that. Capitalism is a completely anarchic system or mode of production where a handful of Wall Street shareholders are basically gambling with our economy, because that's what shares are. They're a paper representation of the U.S. economy, and speculation with those shares is just gambling. So rather than running it in a rational way, they just gamble with it to try and accumulate as much paper money as possible. And the system has no ability to adapt or plan or adjust itself when, 60% of the country has healthcare debt and 80% of us are living paycheck to paycheck. So, oh my goodness. Schizo-pilled is right. Stop with the spamming. I need a moderator in this B. Support from Libya, bro. We no longer have socialism in Libya, but I hope it happens in America. Thank you, comrade. I appreciate it. I've read Gaddafi's Green Book. Very interesting. He was a good leader. Libya was moving in a great direction when they had socialism, and it's sad to see what the situation has become. But thank you so much for the support. What's up, bro? I'm at the gym. Based. Thoughts on Milosevic? He was in power at a really horrific time. I got to be careful what I say here. I'm going to get, my live is going to get banned. He was in power at a really horrific time. And there were like Serbian nationalists who were part of the Serbian government who were, like really brutal. Thank you for the roses. But, a lot of crimes were placed at Milosevic's feet that were like, a lot of like deaths that were actually from NATO bombs, basically, when they bombed the shit out of Serbia. And in order to inflame, the U.S. claims that they were trying to stop all the ethnic fighting and trying to stop a G-side. Well, they were the ones who gave arms and funding to the Kosovo Liberation Army. Thank you for that. Thank you for the heart, which forever was considered a terror group by the entire world. And the U.S. said, nope, they're no longer a terror group. We're going to give them funding and guns, and NATO as well. So they inflamed all of this ethnic fighting between Serbs and, so-called Kosovars and whatnot, and Albanians. And then the U.S. claims that Serbia and Milosevic were G-siding the other ethnicities, especially the now I'm drawing a blank. Who were they specifically? Which there's so many freaking ethnic groups running around at the time. The Bosnian Serbs. That's who they were. Yeah. They call it the Bosnian G-side. That's who he was apparently G-siding. He was never convicted for that, by the way. There was insufficient evidence, and he died in prison after being arrested anyways, so it didn't matter. And a lot of people have suspicions about his death. But anyways, the amount of ethnic killings, right? The amount of people who were killing each other in that region because of their ethnicities increased both during the time that the U.S. was bombing them and after, as compared to before. Thank you for the gifts. So the U.S. claims that they stopped the G-side, when in reality, the amount of people who were getting murdered for their ethnicity increased after they bombed it. And then they carved Kosovo, this new country, out of Serbia. Thank you. And that's what the so-called Kosovo Liberation Army, this terror group, was fighting for. And now that region, that country, Kosovo, has more NATO troops stationed there than anywhere else on Earth. So you see what the U.S. was really doing, trying to create a little Israel in East Europe, trying to create a little base of support for NATO where they can push whatever they want, push their interests. And it got them closer to Russia's borders as well, who's obviously a main U.S. target. Thank you for the bracelet. There was a G-side, not sure if he did it. I mean, it was like an ethnic war, basically. Both sides were killing each other. And yeah, there were Serbian nationalists who were brutal too, but they were responding to these terrorists who were given a bunch of guns and support from NATO and the U.S., who were inflaming that, trying to provoke that, trying to stoke that, because, Yugoslavia was formerly socialist and united, and they inflamed ethnic conflicts and racism in order to destroy a united socialist republic, and it's really, really sad story, actually. And, I mean, you can make critiques of Yugoslavia, of course, I have a million, and their socialist project there. The main one being that they took IMF and World Bank funding, which trapped them in debt and started to dissolve the socialist aspects of their economy. But the main place where they were hanging on to socialist aspects of the economy and had a bunch of state-run industries that were competing with U.S. corporations globally was Serbia. And if you look at the targets of the U.S. bombs that they dropped, it was power plants and farms and factories and the headquarters of the two major socialist parties. It was very intentionally to dismantle what remained of socialism in former Yugoslavia. That was the U.S.'s intention, not stopping a G-side. I'm listening. This is good info. Yeah, thank you. If you want to learn more, thank you for the snowflakes. If you want to learn more, read Michael Parenti's To Kill a Nation, which is all about how the U.S. destroyed Yugoslavia. Eddie, have you heard Silvio Rodriguez? If not, you should. Your friend Carlos likes his music. Yes, we both do. Very much. I'll check it out. I don't know Silvio Rodriguez. I need some Spanish-speaking artists, though, because Duolingo isn't doing it anymore. I need to move on to strengthen my Spanish. Eddie, you turned your chat into Balkan Wars. I know, this always happens. I always do. That's why I was like, that person kept asking about Milosevic. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then I just went ahead and I did it. So here we are. It's all right. I got to go anyways. Eddie, how can I contribute to the party if I'm from Nicaragua? Well, it's difficult. You can support us, retweet us, support and boost all of our stuff on social media. Create 27 alt accounts to boost our stuff on social media. But I'm not even sure if you can fund the party, like give us money or anything, because of the U.S. sanctions on Nicaragua, and that could get us in legal trouble. But, talk to people about the ACP. Talk to people about the American Communist Party, which you can join at acp.us if you're an American, by the way, or a Canadian. Talk to people about it. Like, if we were we would love to have relations with the Sandinistas and with the socialists in Nicaragua. So if there's anything you can do to, improve how people view the ACP in Nicaragua, especially the socialists there, that's huge. That helps us a ton. So, favorite UFC fighter right now? Bryce Mitt. Just kidding. Nobody ban me. Nobody report me for extremism, please. Favorite fighter in the UFC? Bilal. Remember the name. Muhammad. I love Bilal. I love him because he's a wrestler, and everybody hates him and says he's boring. I don't think he's boring at all. I love watching Bilal Muhammad. And first Palestinian champion in UFC history, and he's vocal about it. And the media blackballed him. And the only interview I've seen him do where they let him talk about Palestine explicitly was on Jake Shields' podcast. Pretty much the Fight Back podcast. Pretty much everyone else steers away from that question and just asks him about, fighting and stuff. Are you planning on collabing with Diego Rusarin again? Absolutely. I love Diego. Would love to do his show anytime. It's always great to get to interact with the Spanish-speaking and Mexican audience that he brings in. Great dude. He introduced me to Santiago Armecia, who's also fun to talk to, and a cool dude. So yeah, I'd love to talk to Diego again. Love from Palestine. You're in Palestine right now? Solidarity, comrades. Stay safe. Much love. Free Palestine. I'm a NS and I support you. See, that's fine, but I'm going to get you to stop being. I'm going to get you to read Stalin's Marxism and the National Question. Just you wait. Why are so many people in the UFC racist? I don't know. A lot of them aren't like... I think a lot of them are just like trying to stir up controversy and don't know how. And they do it by being edgy and like... the thing is when you're in combat sports or especially like MMA, you're around people of a lot of different races all the time. And when you're with a bunch of crude male fighters who are different races, they make jokes, right? And those jokes aren't necessarily ill-intentioned or evil, or it doesn't mean they actually hate people of a certain race. That's just how they joke around. And yeah, it's crass. But I think that's what a lot of it is. I don't think a lot of them are genuinely like bigoted. But then again, you have people like Bryce Mitchell coming out and saying that the mustache man was right for targeting Jewish people. And you're like, okay, this isn't a joke. This is very real. Okay. I would vote for you for presidency if I was American. Base, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Hey, from Minnesota. Hello. Would you make a collab with Hakeem on YouTube? Yeah, I actually wanted to reach out to him. I wanted to reach out to Hakeem because we haven't talked in a while. I know him and my friend Haas had beef a while back. I think it was really stupid. The beef that they had, it wasn't even that serious. Or over any like real serious political contention. So I think Hakeem does good work. And I'd love to rebuild the bridge with him. Yo. Eddie, when are you going to work with Rathbone? Whenever he wants. He's been boosting the shit out of me on X recently. What's the status of the party? I heard you fused with Infrared to make it ACP. Yeah, Midwestern Marx and Infrared came together to form the ACP because we had a lot of influence in CPUSA and everybody was clamoring for a new party because CPUSA is corrupt. Yo, thank you. Yo, appreciate that. ACP is the strongest. Yes, yes, yes. Yo, what happened between you and Hakeem? Nothing. I mean, I did get banned from their Reddit server, but Yugoslavia reached out and told me that they don't have any control over it. Whatever. They don't know the mods of their Reddit server, I guess. ACP is already better than CBUSA. You bet. Thank you. I agree. Not you making up comments? Huh? Maybe you just can't read. I can scroll up to the top and see all the comments I've gotten. A Marxist analysis on Skibbity Toilet? Gee, that's tough. People are on the internet too much because of the attention economy and the fact that corporations are constantly trying to get our attention. And that's what spawned Skibbity Toilet. There you go. Fellow Wisco Marxists, ACP, let's go. Based, acp.us to join the party if you haven't already. Americans, Canadians alike, join up. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Midwestern Marx. Do you think we've made contact with aliens? Probably not. I think I don't think we've run into them yet. And I think if they are out there, which is likely, that there's other life forms. But what was I going to say about aliens? I think a lot of the stuff the government says about aliens is just to distract us, though. Like the CIA leaks stuff about aliens all the time, and it's to keep people not thinking about the structure of our system and exploitation and the for-profit healthcare system and the cost of housing and blah, 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 all these things that affect our day-to-day lives, and get them concerned with aliens or flat earth or whatever. Haven't seen you in a while. Well, hello, welcome back. You gonna upload this to YouTube? More than likely. Yeah, this almost all my streams that I do here go to youtube.com/MidwesternMarx. Can the ACP be voted in for 2028? No, we're not ready. We're not focused on elections that, we're only focused on like local elections that we can actually win, and building the party, organizing workplaces, organizing communities so the working class has a voice for itself. And when the time comes, we'll look to establish real political power for the party and the working class. But that probably won't be 2028. We'll see. I saw your video on South Africa. Come over and I'll show you what it's like. I'll cover accommodation. It sounds like a trap. Thank you, though. Who do you think is the best heavyweight MMA fighter? Tom Aspinall. Thank you, man, for speaking the truth about South Africa. You bet. Long live the EFF and MK, the other party. They're both based as hell. So, and Elon's mad about it because he's an apartheid baby. Cry harder, you weird Minecraft character looking guy. All right, everybody, I gotta go. I got wrestling practice in 20 minutes. I stayed longer than I should have already. Thank you so much. acp.us to join the party. Midwestern Marx on YouTube if you want to see me go more in depth on any of these topics, or if you missed the stream and you want to catch it later, I'll upload it there. Also follow me on X at Liger Smith and at Midwestern Marx. We'll see you on the next one.